The Worthy Ones, the video series where I take all the newest #1 comic books that came out for the current comic book week that I read, and I deem them worthy or not worthy. Guys, I'm Mike Spider Slayer. Welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. If you love daily comic book content, if you love me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy each and every week, guys, why don't you consider hitting that subscribe button? And before we get started, guys, if you want to show that extra love and support towards the channel, why don't you consider becoming a member of my YouTube channel? All you got to do is hit that join button right there on my home screen. And as low as 99 cents a month, you guys can have early access to my videos. You can have cool stickers. You can have badges that lets you know how long you've been a member of my channel for. And like I said, it just shows that extra love and support. And no worries if you don't. I just appreciate you guys supporting the channel by watching and leaving comments. So thank you so much. So with that being said, let's go ahead. Let's get started with this week's episode. It's going to be a fun one. The First Americans, issue 1, published by Critical Entertainment. This is a 44-page comic for the price of $5. Now, this is a comic book that I normally wouldn't pick up, guys, because honestly, this was sent to me by the writer, Christopher Retta. Great guy, great people over there at Critical Entertainment, okay? Now, what this book is it's an end of an ice age that lasted 14,000 years. There's an Indian tribe that is traveling across Siberia to Alaska, to North America, right? And they also have to hunt for these mammoths because, you know, they're on the verge of starvation, like I said. And in this comic, you get to see the trial, the tribulations that these Indians go through to try to survive, right? And if they don't, they'll become exist. So that's what extinct. So that's what this comic book is about, okay? Like I said, this is normally something that I would not normally pick up. It seemed like more of an educational book more than anything when I read it, but it was definitely entertaining. So the artist here, Todd Galusha, has a tough task because there's not a lot of dialogue in this comic book. In fact, this is basically a silent issue. And if you want to continue a series, especially coming off a new #1, you got to really impress people with some good artwork. Now, it does give you a little synopsis of everything that was going on in the actual comic book, which was really good. And then you go to Siberia, and then you get to see all these Indians. They're going hunting. They're trying to, hunt for food. And you get to see, again, all the struggles that they go through during this time, right? So again, I think the artist did a good job. It had a tough task, like I said, in telling this story. And when you look at this book, it doesn't take you very long to read it because, like I said, again, it's silent. There's only one word bubble in this entire thing, but I think it definitely captures the reader here and seeing what's next? What's going to happen in this next issue? So I'm going to say this one was worthy. That's right, guys. Not normally something I would pick up. Very ballsy to do that silent first issue. And, we'll see what issue 2 has to offer here. But like I said, if you can't find this in your comic shops, check out criticalentertainment.com. They got a bunch of other new #1s and series out as well. And if I graded this comic, guys, again, not normally something I would buy, I would give it C+. I think it's better than average, and my hat's off to Todd, who had to have that tough task of doing a silent issue and telling a story that may be something that people would not always be normally gravitated to. Hack and Slash, Kill Your Idols, issue 1, published by Image Comics. This is a 36-page comic for the price of $6? I did not realize this book was $6, man. Tim Seeley's the writer, great writer here. Artist is Stefano Casilli. The artwork looks great. The colors are bright and vibrant in here. There's a lot of characters from the 90s, like from the Team Bloodstrike that is in this comic book. And the story itself wound up getting quite confusing as time goes along, as Casey, who is the main character, winds up going on this time travel mission. situation. But the way the book opened up was great. Like, I love the original opening. It seemed like basically a slasher movie, and I wish it kind of stayed that way instead of them teaming up or fighting against some of these other characters that maybe you forgot about, like I did. Like, I totally don't even remember this guy's name. Yesterday, I called him Iron Patriot, and that's from Marvel. It's Super Patriot. It's a character that Eric Larson created back in the day, in Savage Dragon. And then you get introduced to all these other characters in here that, again, I just totally forgot. And for me, being that I forgot these characters, this was just almost like a pointless comic book. So I'm going to deem this book not worthy. That's for me, because again, if you followed these characters in your 90s, right, you really like them, you might like this book. But for me, with the time travel and the characters that I didn't like, I was just lost. And I couldn't even honestly finish this comic book. So I was very disappointed of it. I know Casey, I know Vlad, but I wasn't expecting all this other stuff attached to it. So I was disappointed with it. So at the end of the day, I'm going to give this one a D. It just wasn't my thing. Again, buy this book because you know all the characters. If you don't, you're going to find yourself lost. This was only a one shot, so there's no more other books here for this. So, yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Spider-Man Shadow the Green Goblin. This is issue 1, published by Marvel Comics. 40 pages. $5. This one is done by J.M. DeMatteis. The artist here is Michael Stamera. The art looks good in this comic because it kind of reminds you of more of a simpler time. I think that was the goal here when it came to Spider-Man. He doesn't look as old. He's a little bit scrawny because he's supposedly younger. We get introduced to this new proto-goblin who was like a test subject for Norman Osborn when he first created his goblin formula. Peter, we get to see, is real young, and we get to see Aunt May. And so for a lot of longtime Spider-Man fans that read, the Silver Age and the Bronze Age comic books, this is going to give that vibe, right? And it was cool because this book touches on a lot of different things in Peter's life. And that's something that's lacking in the current Amazing Spider-Man book as of right now. So right now, we get the struggle of Peter Parker dealing with the loss of Uncle Ben, because that happened, right? And this whole thing with him dealing with this proto-goblin takes place like within a month after that. So he's still struggling to deal with that loss, to be that hero, to make money, to just balance everything out, and different trials and tribulations that happened in his life helps him become that better hero that he is today. And that's what lacks in the Amazing Spider-Man comic right now, even though Peter's been a hero for a hot minute, but he doesn't really go through any of that stuff. There doesn't seem like there's anything at stake, right? Where in this comic, you have all that, right? And that's what I say about the Jackpot comic book. It's like, all of a sudden, Mary Jane is a hero, but she's never gone through the trials and tribulations of being that hero. And you just don't, just because you acquire a power doesn't mean you become a hero. But going back to this comic, before I rant too long, again, we get to see the different things of what's going on in characters, not just Peter, but you get to see the struggles between, Harry Osborn and his father. You get to see the introduction of Gwen Stacy, and you get to see the stuff that she goes through. And then you get to see Spider-Man's almost first real battle with a super powered being here. So it was interesting here. I really like this comic book, and after talking about it and thinking about it, I like it more than I originally did when I first read it. There's a lot of narration here from Peter, because what he's doing is he's telling this story to you about this past, where he's like, some of this is from memory, this is some things that that was pieced together. So I liked it, and this one was worthy. This is something you should pick up. This is something, again, that is better than the Amazing Spider-Man comic book. Why do we have so many Spider-Man comics that are better than the main title right now? We need to do better, guys, when it comes to that main title. But this book is awesome. You got a cool ending at the end of it, and you get to see this Proto-Goblin's motive here, and I like it. So definitely pick this book up for sure. I'm going to give this one an A+. This one definitely exceeded my expectations. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. If I had a little knock on it, maybe it was maybe a little bit too much narration, but again, that gives you old school feel to the way comics used to be. And when you look at DeMatteis here, that's how he wrote comics back in Kraven's Last Hunt and stuff like that. It's like, he's just telling a story, man. Deadpool issue 1. Guys, this is published by Marvel Comics. This is a 40-page comic for the price of $5. We have Cody Ziegler, who's the one that writes this book. The artwork is done by Rogue Antonio. The artwork is good in this book. I love the way Deadpool looks. He also has this symbiote wolf or like dog that's with him as well by the name of Princess. This thing kind of came from him from the last run that came out. I forgot who wrote the last run. It started off okay, and then I fell off of it. But the action in this comic is great. I love how Deadpool is just like flying all over the place, just kicking people's ass in this comic. And my big thing with Deadpool is sometimes when you read the comic, based off of previous writers, his humor feels very forced, okay? And the difference in this comic is that, yes, he breaks the fourth wall, but it doesn't feel forced. It feels very organic, and it doesn't happen so consistently where you're just like, dude, Deadpool, just shut the hell up, right? And just seeing Deadpool get mutilated in this comic and grow his limbs back, maybe at a rate that is a little bit faster than what you're normal to, was kind of funny, but it is what it is. That's the way this goes. There's one part in here that is very creative with artwork when it comes to breaking the fourth wall, and we have Deadpool, who's on his symbiotic wolf, again named Princess, who's chasing this dude on this motorcycle, right? And it goes through the panels, and Deadpool says, man, I really hate to be the artist that has to draw all this. And when you do that kind of thing, I think that's awesome, right? So really cool book here, in my opinion, when it comes to, the art and just the dialogue and things like that. So what was this comic about this time around? Well, this time around, you're introduced to Deadpool, who's got the wolf, who is a symbiote and is a great sidekick, right? And it talks, and it calls Deadpool Papa, and I like it, and it works. It's better than Deadpool being alone, It's just like that cool little, dog that you have, right? It's just like your little sidekick, your companion. It follows you wherever you go, and they have to find this particular scientist, right? And they're chasing him all around the entire issue, and that's, pretty much the whole thing. But the way they did it was really good. And then we see Deadpool come across this new villain, so we get to see him as well. But the one thing that you deal with in this comic is that Deadpool is kind of sad. He's kind of depressed because he has this situation going on with his daughter, which I didn't know that he had a daughter. So he kind of misses her, and I don't know, man, but, whatever happens in this comic, so far it's off to a better start than any Deadpool comic that I read, kind of just like Miles Morales' Spider-Man, so this one's worthy. I'm going to say pick this bad boy up. Again, I don't know the villain. His name is Death Grip. That's who he fought here. It's like supernatural guy, but I liked it. I like Princess. I like Deadpool. I like the dialogue. I like the artwork. I liked that they're adding the daughter to the whole story here. Again, I don't know where she came from because I don't read that much Deadpool, but we'll see where this book goes. And if I had to grade this one, I'm going to give this one a B+. Definitely off to a very good start. Here we go. These next 3 comics are going to be attached to the Jeff Johns universe, Ghost Machine, published by Image Comics. This is Geiger issue 1. We're going to talk about this one first because we've read other Geiger comics in the past and you kind of know what to expect here. So this one is 32 pages. This is $4. Writer is Jeff Johns, of course. The artwork is Gary Frank. I'm telling you, the artwork in these 3 books that we're going to talk about is absolutely phenomenal. Love the artwork here that Gary Frank puts on these pages. It's so well done. Absolutely awesome. You just fall in love with all the characters and the way they look. This is another book where we have a hero that has a sidekick with a wolf in it, right? And the wolf's name is Barney, two-headed wolf, because it's been poisoned by radioactivity, right? So really cool. Great explosions, just awesome all-out action in your face. Love this book the way it looks. So what I want to say when it comes to Geiger, I don't think you have to be 100% new reader friendly when you read this book, because I feel like it's a decent jumping on point. But if you want to understand the character more, I would say go back and read that first volume from 2021, I think it was when it came out, and or read the one shot and you'll have a better idea that came out last month. But this is a story about Tyreek, well, that's his real name, where he was taking refuge in this town. And these people are actually chasing him, okay? And so what happens is when he feels that the townspeople are getting threatened, he winds up using his little plutonium rods there, and he becomes what is known the Glowing Man. That's how everyone kind of knows him. That's his nickname. And he has this admirer who wants to be just like him. And later on in the issue, you wind up seeing Geiger actually named this guy, calling him Nate the Nuclear Knight, as he joins him on this quest. But it was cool to see this knight, really want to be by his side and prove his worthiness to him that he can work with him, right? And there is this particular possible cure that can help Tyreek rid him of his radioactive powers. And so they're going to go on this quest and see if they can find this guy. So I thought that was a really cool story. And this guy was on the brink of, committing suicide at the same time. You get to see little flashback moments of, Tyreek's past life with his daughter and things like that. This is a very character-driven type of book. Also has some, world building in it as well. Maybe more in the previous issues than currently now, but this book is worthy. I definitely say pick this one up, guys. Really nice read here. Is it perfect for new readers? Like I said, no, not 100%, but I don't think you have to be a new reader to understand really what this story was about and what the plot actually is. And if you want to dive deeper, go back into those things I talked about previously. So if I grade this book, I'm going to give this one an A-. I really like this story. I can't wait to see the development on this character. Now that we have, I think, a true ongoing here, I think the sky's the limit when it comes to this series. Redcoat. This is issue 1, also published by Image Comics with the Ghost Machine imprint. This is a $4 comic book. For 40 pages you get in this one. There's a wraparound cover to it, which is really nice. The writer, again, is Jeff Johns. The art this time is Brian Hitch. So another book where I was like, okay, Jeff Johns is writing it. No wonder his JSA book has taken so long to actually come out, because he's been doing all these other things. Now, Redcoat is a book where I wouldn't say I wasn't excited about, but it's a book where I would, again, not likely want to read as much, because I'm not a big history dude, we read in the first book that we talked about, which was the first Americans, it's usually something that I see, like I would pass it up. But being that Jeff Johns' name is attached to it and you had Brian Hitch doing the artwork, I'm like, okay, let's check it out. It's this new imprint. And of course, yes, what can you expect from Brian Hitch? It's solid. The artwork is really good in the comic book. It has supernatural things that are going on to it, right? But it just takes place in the year of 1775 during the American Revolution, and you got the red coats and all that stuff. And you got this guy by the name of Simon Pure, who's a redcoat himself, and he kind of like betrays all his people, and he goes running away, and he's hiding, and then he comes across this like freaking ritual that's freaking happening in this like little, I don't know, house or whatever it is. And it's like Benjamin Franklin is trying to get like supernatural immortal abilities. And all of a sudden Simon falls and he interacts with this ritual. And then all of a sudden he becomes like immortal. That's what happens. Again, artwork looks actually fantastic in here. And you wind up seeing like 116 years later that pass by, and you see how like much of a slacker, a mercenary this guy is, how everybody is like out to get him. He's died multiple times. You learn the story about him, crawling out of his way out of like what's it called, a coffin, and just all this weird stuff. And then he comes across like Albert Einstein at the end of the issue. It was very entertaining. It was much better than I thought it would ever be, right? And the cool thing at the end of each book is like you're going to get this timeline of when all these stories take place, which I can appreciate. And then also you're going to get a little like statistic page of your character and the history of like when the character was born, the age, and everything like that. And I like that because it gives you that backstory. It gives you more character development. And they did that in that preview book as well. So at the end of the day, I'm going to deem this book worthy. This is something that you should read as well. Even though I'm not an American history buff or don't like that stuff, I found history boring when I was a kid. This was a fun read. It had a little bit of a comical element to it. I like seeing this guy, how he was a slacker and now he's got to survive. It's tough being him because he can't die. He eats and he can never get full. It's cool, man. I like it. So this one was good as well. Like I said, not as good as Geiger for me because I think I like Geiger better. I'm gonna give this one a B+. This is fun though. I really enjoyed it. The book I was most anticipating out of these Ghost Machine books, based off of that preview, this one is Rook Exodus, issue 1, published by Image Comics, Imprint, Ghost Machine, 48 pages. This is a $4 comic, and this has a great wraparound cover to it. Really awesome. Don't even see her yet. Like, where is she in this comic? Can't wait to see that, right? Writer Jeff Johns, once again. Art is done by Jason Fabok, and the art is so freaking gorgeous in this comic book. The way the characters look, just absolutely stunning. Like, this is your opening, like, pin-up page right here from this character. Just so nice. Like, look at this oversized bear. I mean, everything about this comic book, when you saw the different cast of characters, it just brings you to this different world. And when you have artwork that does that takes you out of your world and brings you into the world of the comic book, that's when the artwork does its true job, right? And you don't want to leave it. You want to keep reading. And then when it ends, you're like, oh shit, man, it's actually over. But it's so well done, okay? Even the planet itself, as it's dying, it's beautiful in its own right. Okay, so let's talk about this comic book. So we have a couple of new characters involved here. One is named Rook and another one is named Swine. And these guys are scavengers on this planet Exodus. It's like this new Earth because Earth is basically dying, like everyone, we've seen a lot of stories like this before. Like, Earth is dying, we gotta go to a new planet. And so they did all that stuff. We already, see that. And so it's the year 2152, and there's this organization by the name of Better World. So they create this new planet, they terraform it, and it's colonized in 2059. Well, the Earth engine that is on that planet fails, and then people evacuate that world. So not only do we have Earth that we evacuated, we freaking screwed up this other Earth, and they're evacuating to another place, but they left their scavengers behind. They say, oh yeah, we'll come back for you. No one's come back for them. So we wind up seeing this guy by the name of Rook, who has the power to control animals. So all these scavengers that are there, they have their own helmets that can control different species of animals. And he was a farmer on this world because he was a farmer back at home on Earth. And since no one is coming for him, he's building his own like freaking spaceship here. And we get to see him like team up with his buddy who's also stranded on here. And you get to see the world that's dying. They're starting to lose control of the animals that are surrounding by them. And it's just sad to see this beautiful planet that was created that was destroyed. You got to see a little bit how the world is now. We get to see him scavenge for supplies. Just a really interesting comic book here. Okay, and we also dive deeper into the character himself and when he was a little boy and how he worked on the farm. So not only do you learn about the current world, right, but you also learn about what happened to Earth. Now, like I said, this guy, he's creating this spaceship to leave to go back to Earth. What is left of Earth? Who knows, right? But seeing this story on how he lost his farm, how he got this job, was just very intriguing. And I think this comic is so worthy. I love this book. I think this might be my pick of the week. Still got 10 other books to read here, guys, but definitely worthy in my eyes. This is an A+ book. I love the art. I love the character work. I love the cliffhanger on where they're going to go here. Again, there's all these different other characters here that we still haven't seen yet, right? Like the character on the back. And I can't wait to see all those people on how they either get off of the planet or somehow make this planet live once again. But I'm going to show you this last page. If you don't want to see it, this was the cliffhanger page. It's just a character. But again, look at that. Look at that, dude. Come on. Fucking A+ all the way. Love that shit. So good. Like, independent comic books right now are just taking it to the next level. And these are all your writers and all your artists that did Marvel, that did DC. And I felt like those guys didn't do those guys solid, and they're just like, fuck it, we're just gonna create our own books. Who was to say that this couldn't have been a DC comic book or a Marvel comic book, right? Man, oh man, I tell you, great stuff. Ghost Machine is definitely something that lived up to the hype, I think, so far. We'll see where the rest of the titles go in the future. So there you have it, webheads. Do you agree? Do you disagree with all my grades? Let me know in the comments below. And if you guys love my content, there is more content right here. This is my newest comic book day haul where I show you everything I picked up for the current comic book week. And guys, always support those local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, but always remember also to read those comics so we can have some great conversation. Guys, thank you so much. I'll see you real soon. Take care. Bye.